Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you are watching this. Hello, hello. We are the Since I Was Young podcast, so for all things about Heart of Midlothian. Joining you as always is myself, Ewan Ramsey, and Alan Scrimger. Alan, how are you doing this evening, good man? You good?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Very well, mate. Very well. Along with the fact that, we made the mention just last week there that I was in the middle of of some certain sort of plans as such, and those plans were that I have moved back to Edinburgh. More specifically, Gorgonite! Ah! Fucking bro! I can smell the brewery. I can literally smell it for years. Fucking the aromas coming out of that is bang fucking tastic. It's
It's the
absolutely
best,
brilliant.
isn't it?
Oh, isn't it, mate? Isn't it? And that will bring us to what we're going to be talking about for our 60th episode. 6-0. Damn, fucking, I can't even get past that, mate. 60 episodes of us talking about utter pish. Like, how?
I know. I wonder myself how we've managed to get to this point.
I know, no, exactly, mate, exactly. But of course, we're going to be talking about a bit about the shit housery that was the game against Celtic at Tynecastle Park, which ended in a thrilling 4-3 loss to Celtic. Regardless of the result as well, I thought it was a cracking fucking like a game of football. So we'll talk a bit about that. Obviously, it was our first experience with VAR in just Scottish football. I believe the first game to test this out was Hibs versus St Johnstone. We actually watched a tiny bit of that in the pub, then to find out they got beat 2-1. Fucking hilarious. We will talk a bit about the VAR and how it had a massive impact on the game itself. And then to wrap up things as well, we'll look ahead to our second last game in the Conference League against Riga at home, and our away game back in the league at the weekend there, where we are away in Dingwall to Ross County. So we will wrap things up with that. So as always, guys, if you are not subscribed to the Since I Was Young podcast, please think about subscribing and smash that like button as well. And if you want to get in contact with us via our socials as well, you're more than welcome to. They are on screen and they would be in the description as usual. Sorry, Alan, I'm just going to fix my mic before we get into proceedings, just so I can look as professional as you. There we go. Right, so
No bother at all.
just to just to fire straight into it. The absolute carnage, the absolute ridiculousness, the shithousery that happened at the weekend there, Alan. We could pretty much start anywhere in terms of the events that happened in the game, but I'm going to pass it over to yourself. You can start anywhere you want because it'll be just as interested to talk about, mate.
I think I'll start where I usually do, talking about the lineups and stuff like that. There was when the team news came out, I thought it looked like a 4-3-3 with Keogh, Snodgrass, and Devlin in midfield,
Mm.
which was quite interesting. I wasn't quite sure about that, but it seemed to kind of line up in that way with Snodgrass kind of pushing a wee bit further forward to make it sort of more like the 4-2-3-1 that we're used to. But yeah, I mean, Celtic lined up in a 4-3-3 system, so I don't know whether it was to match up with them or not. But yeah, it was interesting what he did. And obviously, benched Humphreys. Obviously, Shankland had to then come on because Humphreys got an injury, which thankfully apparently isn't too bad. So that's a bonus. But yeah, it's the same old story against Celtic. You know, you want to see us go out and have a go. You want to see us getting faces. You don't want to see us sitting off them and just letting them play the game. And I think certainly from the start of the game, you could see that the players were keen to kind of put their mark on it and say, you know, okay, we're kind of a patched up side just now with injuries, but you know, it's Celtic, it's at Tynecastle. The fans expect to see some effort, and they gave it to us, which was positive.
Absolutely. I mean, was it just to highlight what you said there? Like, we've always mentioned it in terms of like, well, basically any team at all. Like, like as long as we're out there, we're was it having a go, not just like was it hitting back? Like, was it? I don't care what result it actually is. like I was back to the team, and I thought even though the result didn't go our way, I thought we had a right go at them, and we was it they pushed them right on to the end. Of course, was it some of the goals or where could have maybe been avoided, but again, or was it like that's just the past talk. But I guess we can kind of start with like the main sort of news that was kind of surrounding the game. So and we briefly talked about it on the Friday night, I think it was as well. So obviously we had the introduction to VAR as well. Just kind of like before the game, Alan, because I know that we had an episode specifically on it last year, or yeah, it might have
Yeah,
been
we did
last
it.
year.
Aye.
I and
Aye.
obviously we did our own sort of pros and cons into why VAR would be beneficial, not was it beneficial, etc. But just what was kind of your thoughts like sort of before the actual game as well? And we got a slight taste of it when we watched a bit of the Hibs game as well.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point. Obviously, I think because the Hibs game wasn't like on TV. I mean, we watched it in the pub, but it was through some different channels, shall we say? Um, it
Don't
was the
drop that
first,
pub in
obviously,
it,
the
mate.
Hearts.
That is my brand new
Not at all.
local now, mate. Like, you know what
The
I
pub shall remain nameless. But I but obviously the lunchtime game was us, of course, against Celtic. It was the first kind of broadcast outing of VAR. So I think there was a lot of pressure on Nick Walsh, the referee, to kind of use it when he needed to, but also not like turn to it for every decision, because that would have been the worst, if he went to it constantly. And we, like you said, we had a whole conversation about it a little while ago. Um, I I was intrigued to see how it was going to work. Obviously, watching it at home is different from being in the stadium.
yeah.
Um, my brother was at the game and he was telling me that particularly for the first Hearts penalty, the Devlin won it just before half time. There was somewhat of a delay in that, but there's going to be, and there,
Yeah.
you can say teething problems and all the rest of it, and it's probably an element of that. There was the instance with the Celtic disallowed goal as well. The referee, but the thing is that that's a whole different conversation because the referee blew the whistle before the ball
Yeah.
was in the net, so he didn't need to go to VAR for that particular instance, but he chose to go to VAR for whatever reason. Um, and yeah, like there's, as I say, there's teething problems, and there's going to be because it's new. It's new. They're getting used to it. But I have to say, like I said to you just before we started this, I thought that it was used relatively well. Um, you could say we got a little bit fortunate with the Michael Smith one, but there's also elements that it maybe wasn't a penalty with or without VAR anyway,
Mm.
which is why they didn't review it
Yeah.
because Nick Walsh basically the people in the VAR studio. I can't remember which referee was in the VAR studio, but anyway, they said to him, we agree with you. There's no grounds for us to review that one, so just crack on. So, but yeah, like I said, I thought the referee actually had quite a good game. He had a lot of decisions to make, but I think in the most part, he did relatively well.
Yeah. I mean, well, you like sort of briefly mentioned it there, so we can talk about the penalty, the decision from the Cavalier, the Cammy Devlin challenge. There we go. Again, like we can kind of praise VAR, even though we actually in the end lost the actual game. But to its credit, those are the kind of challenges that you do need for. I think at first, I think Nick Walsh, if he didn't have the option to go to it, I think he probably would have ignored it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
blah blah blah, like you said as well, like with your brother there, obviously it had a bit of a delay, but that's to be expected, like everybody's things as well. But
yeah,
they got, again, I'm just saying it, they got that 100% right. It was by a ball hair in terms of
Hmm.
the contact that was made with a Cammy Devlin's foot and the ball as well. But
Yeah.
it was the correct decision to be made, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think I said it on Twitter as well that it's one of those that's why we have VAR for decisions like that, as you
Mm.
say. The thing that's not laughable, but the thing that's alarming for me is that the referee and the linesman, neither one of them gave it without VAR.
No.
So that shows you what you're up against in these sorts of games, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, like you say, VAR was called upon. He went to the wee monitor, had a wee look, and there you go. It was a penalty. Shankland was obviously on by that point, stepped up, scored the penalty. And yeah, like it, as I say, it was a definite penalty. Got us back in the game, made it 1-1. Obviously, they'd scored first, as they do against us. I think it was James Forrest, and I think he took it personally when I said he wasn't the better Forrest. But anyway, back to the
Oh,
penalty.
did.
I think Shankland took it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shankland took it well, straight down the middle. I think it was. Yeah, like I say, I have a lot of confidence in a Shankland penalty these days.
Definitely, Alan. And obviously, I know that we'll talk about the goals as well. But like, again, another crazy stat. So Shankland is the first person to score a hat trick against any of the old firm for 37 years. Like, again, that's just
It's mad.
random as fuck, but it's mental at the same
It's
time.
mad. It's mad. And also, what makes it even more mad and leads me on to a player that I want to praise massively is that Shankland scored a hat trick and he wasn't man of the match.
Yeah.
Man of the match was the little Australian pit bull, Cammy Devlin, who,
Mm.
again, was at his best.
Yes,
And
because there's a camera on him.
listen, but that performance was a big part of why we were in the game for as long as we were in it for.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You could hear every time he was snapping into tackles, the fans were obviously buzzing for it. It's something we've lacked for weeks is
Mhm.
that that press and that hunger to go and win the ball back, and Devlin was doing it, and then that hunger and that sort of confidence breeds into the rest of the team
Mm.
because they see him doing it and they go, well, let's get in Celtic's faces, let's
Yeah.
have a go at them. If Cammy can do it, we can do it too. And it was really really good, as I say, to see Cammy playing that way because obviously I think he was making up for lost time since he obviously got sent off a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, it was nice to see Cammy at his best, doing what we love him to do.
Hmm.
And I think I was listening to it on the radio at work, real time, and they were saying that I don't think there's a Celtic player on the park that Cammy Devlin hasn't tackled yet, which I thought was quite true, to be
What
fair.
shock, Kang. What an
Um,
absolute shock.
aye, but then obviously, if we're talking about one penalty for us, we have to
Yeah.
then talk about the one that wasn't given,
Yeah.
the Michael Smith handball. What did you think about that?
Well, straight away, when they showed it back, straight away I thought it was a penalty. This was after texting my the granddad who was at the game as well, so like saying, "Haha, I love the VAR." Yeah, but no, I mean, looking back a bit, like when they first showed the replay, obviously, like a lot of them, like obviously like both you and I have watched like sort of down in the and was it in the English like sort of was it in Premier League, like with what like determines like your arm to be in a was it like sort of in a position where it's avoidable, and at first, you know when I first saw it I thought his hand probably could be like sort of in a different place, but at the like in that same instance as well, where is his arm meant to actually go? Like
Exactly.
that'll be my was it a counter question to yourself, because obviously he's only like a yard, like from the Celtic player themselves. So again, like where is his arm meant to actually go?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think as well, if you watch it back, James Forrest sort of chips the ball at his arm,
Mm.
almost kind of aiming for it.
Yeah.
And Michael Smith's kind of turning to try and avoid it hitting him, funnily enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's turning around and his arms in a, as you say, his arms in a natural position. So I don't really know what else he could have done. But I think it's, without going down a whole different alley, but I think it's something that's going to have to be watched by referees, because obviously we know VAR is here now, so
Yeah.
you might get players trying to win these sorts of things. James Forrest, he did chip it at Michael Smith's arm. He wasn't, I don't see where else he was trying to put the ball.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, are people going to try and win penalties by getting deliberate handballs or making them happen?
Possibly.
But yeah, I think Nick Walsh obviously made the call and said, no, I'm not giving a penalty for that. The VAR then came in his ear and said, yeah, we agree with you. There's no need for a review. Celtic players went mental, surrounded the referee. Postecoglou was hands on his head on the
Ange was
sideline.
just in
Big sp-
absolute disbelief, was he?
and it's one of those though. If it was us, I would be
Oh
exactly
yeah,
the same. If it was up the
100%.
yeah, if it was up the other end, I'd be calling for it as well. But yeah, it's, as I say, it's one of those. It's a soft one not to get, but it would have been a soft one to give as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of sums it up for me. And then obviously, there was so many things, so many moments in that game. It was, see, if I was a neutral, like I wasn't a Heart supporter, I would have bloody
Oh,
loved watching that game. I mean, I loved watching it
aye.
anyway, but to be a neutral watching that,
You fucking
it
brilliant.
had everything.
Yeah, I mean there were plenty of neutrals. Was it Hibs game, considering that they were selling tickets to universities and all that shit for £10 a pop. Oh yeah, we filled out our stadium. Yeah, fuck you guys. Natural order and all that shit. Get to fuck me.
It wasn't even
You fuck.
full either. Did you see that?
It still wasn't
It
even full. It still wasn't even full. Like
it's
ridiculous.
Nah, but Hibs, what do you do? It's just Hibs in it. It's just Hibs things. But
What can you do?
no, it's they're just embarrassing. Let's be honest, they're just embarrassing. Um, but yeah, the game, it sort of went how I kind of thought it would. To be honest, after that point, like halftime came and it was like, that's great. We're
Aye.
still in the game. It's 1-1, still in the game. Brilliant. I had a feeling, I thought, right, if we can go out in the second half and get the first goal and put them back under pressure, there's a possibility we can get something here.
Which we did.
And then, yeah, yeah. And another player that I've spoken a lot about recently, Gino, I thought he was really good. I thought he was really good in the game. Did well with the ball at his feet, had his moments, but
Yeah.
Gino always has his moments. That's just how he is. But he plays a great wee cross, and Shankland just sort of slides onto it and gets there first and puts it away. And the stands went absolutely mental, as you would
Absolutely.
expect.
Absolutely. Again, I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, I can't recall if it actually had to go to VAR, but it did show on the screens while I was watching it that there were some was it Celtic players that were was it calling it as well to be taken to VAR, but Shankly was just in line, and I'm talking like just in line though.
Yeah, yeah, he was, and I don't think it went to a VAR
I don't
review. To
think
be
it did either. No.
honest with you, I don't think it did, but it wouldn't have surprised me if they had a look at it. But no, it was a great start to the second half. Then talk about goals again. The Celtic header 2-2. We wouldn't be Hearts if we didn't concede a cross, a
Of
header,
course not. No, of
a
course not.
goal. Frustrating at that point. I'm using my favourite word again. It was frustrating, but that's life. Um, then Celtic went 3-2. I thought Gordon could have done better with that one. I thought the
Yeah,
boy
yeah. I mean,
Aaron Mooy or
yeah.
Moy, is it? The shot. I mean,
I Moy the
obviously,
fuck there.
I'm not a goalkeeper. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm not a goalkeeper, so I don't know how hard the shot was, but Gordon seemed to sort of not really gather it well. He just sort of put it out in front of himself, and then it was Maida that just sort of
Mm.
tapped it in, put it away. It's a question actually that we had on our Facebook page, and somebody sent it in, and he says, "When do you think is a wise time to rest Gordon? Because it feels like he needs a rest."
Now, you again aptly timed. So you and me did have this a conversation again on Friday night as well. Now, I think. in terms of the words that you used, I think that's the key word, and that's to the rest of them. He doesn't deserve in any way, shape, or form was it to be dropped. Like absolutely
No,
not. Like I would only
no,
ever want him to be out of the team for a few weeks just because he's probably played every single game. Like pretty much was it since he came back to Hearts.
yeah,
So and to actually for the first time in a long time to actually have the comfortableness, the relaxation, the safe pair of hands to come off the bench to replace him. Again, like we said it, like I said on Friday night, I would love to see as Vander Clark was a have a go.
yeah,
Like obviously, it's been a while since he's actually played a professional game, but obviously there was a time where, like, when he was still playing for St. Johnson, he was absolutely on
yeah.
fire. And he's still relatively young, without a goalkeeper as well. So there's no reason to say that if he does get a run out in the team again, there's no reason to say that we could have Scotland's number one and number two in the future as well. But just to kind of answer your question with another question as well. Obviously, like again, we'll talk about it more after we've talked about the Celtic game. But with obviously Riga coming up on Thursday night, obviously, like it's not an important game in terms of the group itself. But if you were the Robbie or in charge of the team yourself, because obviously you've got plenty of experience on football manager, um, would you start him?
What against Riga?
Yeah.
Uh, Um, I think I probably might do run out recently, which are un-Craig Gordon like, but you this guy's 40-year old. Like he wasn't going to play every week this season. That wasn't the plan,
No.
but so far he has.
Yeah, I know, and he's
And
and he's been
you know,
fucking incredible.
oh, I absolutely, absolutely. But I think as well, like you say, and as you said, Xander Clark is a more than capable person to come in and step into it. There's an argument that you want your strongest defense back before you put him in.
Yeah, no, no, true,
And
true.
obviously, we don't have that right now. Halkett and Rolls are apparently back in light training, though, so that's positive news on that front. But yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if he started against Riga. If I would I do it, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I'd probably play Gordon because Gordon's the number one, and it's a European tie, and there is still money available to us if we win it. A sizable amount, regardless of the fact we might not make it out the group now. Probably won't at this point, but I'd play Gordon purely for that reason. But I wouldn't be surprised if Clark played. And if he doesn't play against Riga, he might play on the weekend against Ross County because Gordon does need a rest.
No,
He's
no,
got
he
a
does.
newborn a newborn baby at home. I'm sure that's not easy either. So yeah, he's magnificent. Give him a rest.
It's magnificent. I was
That's
it.
my
Okay, Gordon. If you like highly doubt it, but if you are listening, I will babysit you anytime, my son. You can just come right through. I stay close by now, mate. So like I'm on your doorstep. So like what I mean. But no, like look, but no, like to like to put aside my sick fantasies. I think yeah, see, like it is a difficult one as well because, like you said, yeah, you are absolutely right. He is our number one, and he should be starting. However, in that same sense as well, you said yourself that he is more the line of safe like sort of a pair of hands as well. So, and because we've not got the defense back as well, like you can make arguments for both as well.
oh
But
yeah, yeah,
like
absolutely.
we could probably talk about this for ages. So we'll steer back was it out to the Celtic game. So yeah, you're absolutely right. like we go down 3-2, of course, like as we do against the Celtic, and then I can't even remember the last team that actually got this, but we got two penalties given against Celtic. Two penalties
Well,
for us,
yeah,
not
and
them.
both won by Devlin.
Uh,
Both won by Devlin as well.
well done again, Academy boy as well. But would you say again? Would you say that the second penalty was more of a clear cut than the first one?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I don't think it went to VAR, the
No,
second one. I could be wrong,
no,
but I
no,
don't
no,
think
no,
there
no.
was
It
any
didn't.
sort of review because the referee gave it on the spot, didn't he? Um, yeah, I think that was a clear cut one. The boy that fouled him was that Jens, the Celtic defender. He was already on a yellow card
Mm.
at that point, so I was half expecting him to get sent off, and I felt like he probably should have done. But yeah, it was a bit of a mad situation though, because obviously was it Shanklin stepped up to take the penalty,
Yeah,
and he got saved, and
yeah.
then Janelli tapped it in, and
Aye.
Janelli runs away celebrating, and then there's almost a bit of like a bit of a delay. I don't know if VAR intervened then and said actually there was players encroaching in the box
Yeah,
for the penalty, so you might want to get it retaken. I think that's how it went, but I don't know.
yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head. And then I was always a bit wary of Shanklin taking it again because I thought,
Yeah,
right,
you
he's
always think,
scored one,
yeah,
he's had one saved. I thought, I was a wee bit. I mean, obviously, as I say, I'm confident in a Shanklin penalty, but I was thinking, is he going to go the same way? Is he going to go the other way? Is he, what's he going to do? Thankfully, he went the other way and scored. So yeah, Shanklin not starting, coming off the bench and getting a hat trick. I don't know how many goals he's on now, but he's certainly making you and I eat our words in terms of what we thought about him before we signed him. But I'm not
100%.
complaining about that at all.
No, I will gladly
I'm not complaining.
gladly eat them, mate. No. Um, so again, as well, like we said as well, VAR intervened in that one as well. So again, just more things to add. But
Yeah,
then of course, I think it was it the 83rd minute, if I'm right in saying. I might be wrong. But you know,
yeah, something like that.
obviously again, like it was the kind of the same sort of situation as the third goal that Celtic scored. Was it Naylor, was it pretty much was it tapped it in, from a loose ball as well. So that's atypical as well. But in that same regard as well, again, obviously it's typical, was it especially like against the Old Firm, but from a perspective, you do have to give Celtic credit because that's the kind of performances will win you the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think um, Rangers recently have kind of been stuttering a little bit. Celtic don't seem to be stuttering at all. They just seem to be winning games
Stop using the word
consistently.
stutter, mate, because you're triggering me. Like, fuck, God, say stop saying
Sorry. It wasn't intentional. That wasn't intentional, by
Oh,
the way.
mate, it felt
That
intentional.
wasn't
It
intentional
felt
at all.
intentional. It's just literally the
Not
first
at
word.
all.
The first one,
Not at
stab.
all.
Second one, stab. Like literally the constant stabbing.
Come on. Come
Anyway,
on.
anyway. Back to the main topic. Sorry.
Aye. No, you've got me wondering what I'm going to say now.
That's
But
me.
nah.
That's me on a
Oh,
daily basis. Sorry. Sorry.
oh. For
Oh,
fuck's
mate. Oh,
sake.
the absolute shithousery here
But
and all
no,
right. Sorry.
they are.
Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah. Go on.
are get me out of this right now, and that's what they do. It's annoying because I felt like we deserved something out of the game. So to come away with nothing was a bit frustrating. There's my word. But look, I said it at the start. If you want in a Celtic game or any game against the Old Firm in general, and really against anyone, not just Celtic and Rangers, you want to see Hearts go out, have a go, get in their faces, and not show them respect. Not
Yeah.
show them respect because Why should we show them respect? Like, let's get in their faces, let's have a go and see what we can do. And we did that. So that's positive,
Ah,
considering what we've seen in recent weeks as well, compared to that. But
no,
you want to
yeah.
see that now going forward. You want to see more of that because, and I said this after the game, I think, and the positive thing for us is that although we lost the game, and although like we haven't won a domestic league a fixture in the league since the middle of last month, so that shows you, where we're at, and yet we're still not far away from third place, and we've got a game in hand. So we're not out of the running, because, like I said, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, but no team seems capable of going on a run like what we did at the start of last season and
No.
opening up a gap between third and the rest. So, you can talk about, oh, it's another defeat, and it is. It's never nice to lose a game, but if you're going to lose a game against Celtic, there's a way of doing it. And again, I said, if someone told me before the game we were only going to lose by one goal, I would have taken that, to be honest with you.
Fair
Obviously, you want to
enough.
try and get something, but well, you know what our predictions were last week. I was expecting us to get
Oh
pumped.
yeah.
So, you know, to lose 4-3 and to go down swinging and to go down fighting was nice to see. And Tynecastle kind of responded from the stands. The fans were pleased, stayed behind and clapped the players off the pitch at the end, which is always nice to see, despite the fact that we lost. But yeah, look, there was effort, there was energy, and there was drive, and Cammy Devlin, and he did all of those things. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, like I said, there's ways to lose a game against the Old Firm, but if you're going to lose like that.
Absolutely, Alan. And I'll be very honest. There's not a lot to add from myself. No, I don't know, but because you're absolutely right. Like like I guess, like to echo you, I'll never ever mind the getting beat
Yeah,
if we play like that. And in that very same instance as well, of course, I know that we've had a very bad run of form, but again, I think just from the performance alone, despite the result, I think the two games that we've got coming up now, which we may as well talk about as one, because we mentioned at the start, we've got Riga on the Thursday night, and we're then away to Ross County on the Sunday. Now, kind of thinking about it, obviously, you know, the game and the Conference League, yeah, you could say it's pretty much done now. But in terms of a financial aspect, there's still a whole lot to play for. So
yeah,
I think obviously in terms of because I think it was yourself as well that sent me this as well. So obviously, depending what kind of prize money overall we get from the Conference League when we get into January, obviously if we've still got injuries kind of lurking about, obviously we'll have to put a wee bit of funds in the was in there as well. So for the longer term, to use your favorite sentence again, it's a massive game. So so in terms of that and kind of putting the fixture against Ross County in to the mix, again, to kind of say it again, obviously we've been in a bad run of form, but just from the performance, again, despite the result, I think it's two games that we could definitely get something out of. I think, you know, in terms of comparing them both, I think the county game will obviously be harder because it's away and Ross County can be a hard place to actually go to. But I think, for Thursday, especially, I think it's something that, this could hopefully be a game that could turn the tide slightly and try and get a result under our belts. Yeah.
yeah. I think so. I think so. Um, like I said earlier, Halkett and Rolls are back in light training. I would
Mm.
expect Halkett to feature before Rolls, though. But I'm not saying that one of them will play on Thursday because I don't think they're that close. But it's just nice to have some positive news about them, to kind of fall back on. Um, yeah, I read earlier on that we've made upwards of £3 million from the Conference League this season, the revenue of £3 million. So, you know, I'm not saying all of that's going to get put to transfers because it's absolutely
No.
not. But even a percentage of that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be making plans for January already. I'm sure they've started doing that already. Robbie's already said that we could do with a couple more, even just to add to the squad and competition, which is important.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the Riga one is interesting because obviously we played them away, and I wasn't overly impressed with them, but they do have a threat about them.
Mm-hmm.
They're big physical boys that, you know, towards the end of the game, and it was more because they needed to score when we were 1-0 up. They needed a goal, and they threw everybody forward and were lumping crosses in and trying to win it in the air and trying to get us that way. So we are going to have to be wary of that. But yeah, as I say, I just hope that the players haven't used up all their energy from the weekend, because, you know, that's the last thing that we want, you know. But I think Riga's winnable. It would be nice to win because it gives us a bit more money for a win. You
Mm-hmm.
get more for a win than you do for a draw and a loss, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be positive, and then take positivity from that into the Ross County game on the weekend. And yeah, like, look, Ross County are bottom of the league, but they are not a bad side. You know, they're not they're not awful. You know, they can, especially at home. You know, it's a tough place to go, as you say, but it's I would, you know, there are other games and probably harder games that we could have had coming off the back of a European tie.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can take some positivity from Thursday into that, there's no reason we can't get a win, in my opinion.
Absolutely not. I mean, you said there that there could be better teams, but we're literally playing the two teams that are sitting bottom respectively of their the group. So in hindsight, it's probably the perfect fixtures to try and get
Yes.
was there something out of it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, look, like I said to you, I think just the performance alone can shine a tiny bit of light in to the players. I think you know it's a chance to kind of build up some confidence as well. And plus, because we did win over in the Riga, like I think you know mentally we have the edge as such, and like of course like sort of was it being at home as well. Um,
Mhm.
is a good thing. So I'll be honest, I do expect us to get a result. Was it like of course you oh sorry. I think you and me will be at the game on Thursday, so um they better fucking win because if I'm gonna have my home coming game be a fucking loss, I will not be happy. But on that note, Alan, would you like me? Sorry, me? Would you? I can you give me Jesus Christ stammering it everywhere again? Can you give me your predictions for both Riga and County, please, my man?
A 2-0 win against Riga, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win against County.
Oh, Alan, where has this self was it confidence came from, mate? Because
We're
honestly,
we're
give it
back. We're back, mate.
give it to the squad. Like honestly, they could use it. Was it some of that confidence, mate?
Yeah, I just feel like, you know, the players will take a lot of confidence out of the Celtic result and well, not result but performance.
Hmm.
And obviously, if we can get a win against Riga, it'll be the first win that we've had for a few weeks. So
Hmm.
hopefully that then rolls into the county game. So that's my logic. But as we know, Hearts defy logic a lot of the time. So it wouldn't surprise me if it went the complete opposite way. But I'm hoping and I believe that the next two games will see us get 2 wins.
I like that thinking, my man. I like that thinking. Well, I'm going to agree with you as well. I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory against the Riga. And I'm going to go for the county game. I don't know whether to go for a 1-0 or a 1-1 draw. A 1-1 seems more accurate. But again, let's keep the confidence
Could happen.
going. Fucking let's keep the confidence going. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Hearts. So if it's 2 wins in the space of 4 days, I'll be absolutely delighted. But as always, guys, we would love to hear what your predictions will be for both Riga and the Ross County game. We'd also like to hear your thoughts on the performance from the Celtic game as well. And if you thought the AR played its part as well, and do you feel overall it'll probably be more was a bit beneficial to the Scottish game itself? So we would love to hear all your responses on that. And I think that brings us swiftly to the end of the 60th episode of the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian. So to all, thank you so much again for joining us. It's always greatly appreciated as always. And just once again, if you're not subscribed to the channel via our YouTube page, please think about subscribing. Smash the like button as always, because it greatly helps us out to get the episode out there. And if you want to share your thoughts for our social outlets, the main one being Twitter, of course, you can fire all of your questions and your thoughts on there. And you can also get in contact with us via our individual Twitter pages as well, which will be on screen and in the description as always. So, Alan, thank you very much for joining me as always, and I will see you very soon on Thursday night.
Absolutely, and the same to you. And as I say, hopefully the Hearts can crown the homecoming with a win.
Absolutely, my man, absolutely. But as always, guys, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you in the next one. You take care. Bye for now.